In an ideal world, when we're training for a marathon, we've probably got it all planned out. 12 weeks, 14 weeks, 16 weeks, all of the different types of training runs we should do, the intensity, the distance. Maybe you've got it all stored on a spreadsheet or in a running app or an AI training app, which is all great, but training plans don't factor in life events. So maybe you're watching this at the moment, maybe you're training for a marathon and something's happened that's maybe put a pause on your training or altered the direction of your training. Maybe you're injured, maybe you've missed a few weeks of your training plan and you're starting to worry about how it's going to affect your marathon and your marathon goal. Well, at times like this, when you may not be able to stick to the plan, I always remember something that one of our wise coaches at our local running club always reminds us, that sometimes in marathon training and in the marathon itself, there may be situations where we need to change the plan, but not the goal. And obviously, as we all know, there are things that are completely outside of our control. So if you can't control something, the next best thing you can do is how do you react to it. So I remember a few years back when I was training for my first ever marathon major, the Berlin Marathon. And I'd put aside 14 weeks to train for this marathon. And the goal that I'd set myself was just to finish the marathon. That's all I wanted to do. And about 7 weeks into the training, I got an injury, quite a bad injury. I completely did my hip in, which literally put a stop to everything. So I had to make a few choices at that point. I either let that particular injury completely derail everything, completely derail my goal, or I had to adapt and adjust. So I did. So I did things that I was able to keep the base level fitnesses up, to keep motivation up, and to keep those goals in mind. So even though I couldn't run, I still went for long walks. I did some cycling, I did some swimming, I did core exercises. So I was able to tick off those weeks, even though those weeks didn't quite look exactly as the training plan had given me. And that's the thing with training plans, especially if you've not run a marathon before or you're relatively new to running. You look at a training plan and you see all these weeks and all these sessions that you must do. These are not set in stone. These are guides. These are guides on the side that just steer you towards the marathon. And there are certain situations where you have to stop your training, can put a complete pause on it altogether, and maybe rest and recovery is what's needed. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Rest and recovery, especially during marathon training, is recommended. You need to rest and recover. If that means 2 days a week, if that means 1 week out of 12 or 14 or 16, so be it. So if rest and recovery is what you need to do, you need to do it. And I can absolutely assure you, if for whatever reason you're not able to follow your training plan religiously, maybe you are injured, maybe you're ill, maybe there are other life events, family events, work commitments that are just getting in the way. If you miss a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of any training plan for a marathon, it's not going to affect you that much for the marathon itself. And I always say when things come about, when challenges or obstacles arise, I always remind myself, yes, there are ways we can adapt, but what type of runner, what type of person do I want to become once that challenge, once that obstacle is faced or ceases to exist? And most challenges do go away. Where I live at the moment, we're going through some regional challenges, which means we've had to adjust, rethink our running, but it's not put a stop on it completely. So yes, maybe I can't run in the morning as much. Maybe I have to reduce the distance or the intensity, but I know that ticking by through these last few weeks will ultimately mean that I am still a strong runner once all of these challenges are overcome. And I know it sounds cliche, and philosophy is a big part of my running, but the obstacle is sometimes the way. When you get through that obstacle, you do come out sometimes better than before you face that obstacle. Anything outside of your control shouldn't really take too much of your mind, your efforts. How you react to that is what's most important. And again, I always say this, I've said this so many times on my videos, we suffer more in imagination than reality. So if you're struggling to get out that door to do the run, maybe you're worried about how it will go, maybe you've had a few runs that haven't gone particularly well, you're probably overthinking. It's probably not going to be as bad as you think. I always find that visualization, visualizing that marathon, the goal, the end, picking up that medal, hearing all the supporters, your family, friends, cheering you on, celebrating your victory. I find that visualization, and I know it's kind of cliche, but that positive thinking, it really does help you overcome situations like when you're ill or when you're injured. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, that's really, really great, Paul, but I just can't get out the door. I just don't want to. I've had a few runs where it's just not gone well, and I just don't think I can do this. And it's a video I published literally 2 weeks ago about the 10-minute rule. If for whatever reason you face difficulties getting out that door, maybe mentally, that you just don't want to do it, you don't feel like it, you're not motivated to do it, give yourself a 10-minute rule. Convince yourself that you're going to run for 10 minutes, if you can. And I can almost guarantee you, if you do that, if you go out of that door with that mindset, you'll most likely do more than 10 minutes. So there are always things that we can do to overcome whatever we're faced with. And it kind of mirrors what I always say happens in a marathon. Marathons are difficult. There's no question about that. And we can plan, we can train for all of the eventualities. But there's always a marathon surprise. There's always a challenge. There's always an obstacle. There's always a difficult moment, a real tough moment in that marathon will come. And it's just knowing that it won't last forever, and there are ways that you can overcome or get through that particular obstacle or challenge. So this is slightly different to videos I normally do on this channel. So I've had to adapt over the last few weeks. But I just thought I'd come on here as I'm on a nice walk, on a cloudy day where I am. I'm still getting out there doing what I can. Base fitness, and I call maintenance mode. Because when this is over, I want to still be in a position that I can train for a marathon, run those long distances, and keep going. So if you found any value on this video at all, and I know a lot of it is obvious, but I know a lot of people who maybe are new to marathons, look at training plans, and for some reason or another, they're not able to follow them. They panic. They're fearful about what happens if I can't do those particular runs on that particular date. Yes, training plans are there to guide you. All of the runs lead to one another and beyond. You don't have to stick to it religiously. There are times where you have to change the plan, but not the goal. And I did finish that Berlin Marathon. So even though I faced 6 weeks of injury, I was still able to turn up and deliver the goal that I promised myself 14 weeks earlier. So if you like that video, and I promise normal service will be resumed over the next few days, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Send me a comment. How do you navigate obstacles in your marathon trainings, whether that's physical, mental, events outside of your control? Let me know down below. You never know, it may help somebody who's watching this. So until the next one, and there will be a next one, I'll see you very soon.